if bottoms comes in, I'll definitely make that rally up on the weekend. That's a good weekend trip. That way you can knock out like several things while I'm in the area. Yeah, kind of like what we did in Colorado, man. There we are. We're back.
We're
The
back.
shuttle
We're
drive.
already planning.
We're back to planning again. Yeah, this time, we can probably try to get all new runs again. Each time I go out there, I try to like find new runs each time. I'm probably about 40 deep now. And in the past 2 years, you're probably well over 20 runs. Different. When I talk about runs, I mean different sections.
Yeah.
Technically, you could do each section on any given day.
This year
Um,
didn't work out as good as the first year because everything was so high, but it's okay.
yeah, wasn't it? It was like, how hard do you want to push it? Yeah.
Everything was, yeah. Even Pine Creek was harder than last time.
A little stout, a little big, a little stout, but you know what? We survive. We're survivors. Yeah, so we'll try to plan something good on that one coming up because I always like it.
I wrote down my must-haves. I'm gonna definitely do lower narrow pooter. I don't really care what the level is.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's gotten me 2 years in a row. 2 years in a row, I've wussed out on it, and then Lake Creek is my other one, like with
Yeah,
you.
when it gets down to a sane level,
But those are I gotta have those two
5,000
this year.
CFS. Well, man, yeah. So reason I asked you back on here is, we both paddle a lot of the same boats, so which is kind of good and bad for me and you both, because we never really get used to one long enough, then we switch boats. But I think this year we actually spent a lot of time in a lot of different boats. So what I wanted to do, I wanted to kind of go over our 2024 kind of like boat repertoire. What do you think? Like, we can kind of go over what we liked and maybe didn't like, and what, yeah, out of all the ones that we paddled, what did you prefer the most, and what you like, maybe like best to least, but they're actually all really good. Once again, actually, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, man. I think 2024 might be the best year ever for whitewater kayaks.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember which ones actually came out in 24
I've
or
got,
were or were kind of out in 23
well,
but
I've
really
got a
came out in
list. We're not
24.
counting 23.
Okay.
I've got a list. So I wrote down a list here. So the boats, and all I did was go back through my content and see what I reviewed.
There you go.
So what I paddled, you probably paddled too. We've got the Jackson Kayak Clutch, the Piranha ReactR, the Dagger Indra, the Prijon Beast, the EXO Creaker, and the Slalom, which is basically the same boat. The Soul Super Skipper. Well, I mean, Soul, he has 25 kayaks come out every 8 months. But the Super Skipper was the one I was most interested in. And the Liquid Logic Powerslide.
I was wondering where the hot whip
The
fell.
Hot Whip came out with the Sweet Ride, and it came out. Now, the 60 came out this year,
See,
so you,
that's
you
what I'm
technically
thinking.
can count it.
See, that's what I was thinking because I reviewed the 60 this year.
I did too. So it's like, we could talk about the 60, so the Hot Whip, so we could throw it in the mix. Why not? It came out in 2024.
See, some of these I've only seen you in or videoed you, but not actually been in, like the EXO and Prion.
Yeah, but you know enough about them. You've seen them. And then I only paddled that EXO for like a weekend there. Cooper, he brought the container in. If you guys are interested in any of those, I think he just got a whole new container of those slots. And yeah, we'll start with that, man. And I'll just kind of breeze over it since you didn't see much on it. But actually, what I'll do, let's pull it up. Let's see how well I can pull this up. Now, I haven't messed with this stuff in a while, so I don't even know if I can still do it. Let me know if you can see this on the screen. Can you
I
see?
did. Yes, I can.
There you go. So right here, we'll just kind of like, we're going to talk about the creeker. The Zion Creek Large is the one I paddled, and it's the it comes in at length is 257 centimeters. All you math whizzes out there can figure this out. So the width is 62.7 centimeters, weights 20 kilograms, and 290 liters of volume in it.
I love the European stuff. You can never know what it's talking about.
Look at that, man. It's like, does that not, can you see it on the screen?
Yes.
So what we're looking at the rocker profile on this, and it kind of goes right in line. with a lot of the other ones. When you look at the rocker profile on these things, it's just like they're the rocker profile is very similar to like a flow to me, and it has a very I can't see the hull on here. We always talk about this. Manufacturers need to put hulls on their websites, but the hull was very soft on this boat. I liked the Zion. The outfitting was solid in it. I didn't see anything wrong with it. It has a creeker and a slalom version, so it's like a half slice and a creek boat. And you get to choose. Really cool colors. They were solidly built. Outfitting was comfortable. It didn't shock me. It didn't wow me in anything, but you know what I always say, if I don't really notice anything wrong or hurting me anyway, then it's probably doing its job. Wouldn't you agree with that?
I agree. I paddled Jacob Simpson
Oh, you
team.
jumped in.
I
team
jumped
team,
Team
team guy.
Simpson. Yeah, I jumped in at Nana Halo, which you can't tell a whole lot, but again, once again, I wasn't like, I wasn't, but
I
that's
wasn't wowed by them, but I think it's a solid option. If you told me that would be my only boat, I wouldn't have a problem with that. I thought it was a
they,
solid built craft.
yeah, it felt really light just in my literally really brief time. It felt light. Yeah, the outfitting was fine. It paddled kind of like a semi like chili comboed with like I don't know, like a more forgiving boat. Like a
Yeah,
code, like it's an interesting design, but they seem to hold up well. Also, I haven't really seen anybody break them, so that's a good
no, I
sign.
haven't. On that, I've seen more Jacksons broken here lately. I think Landon blew one apart, and I know another guy that blew one apart. So some flows have been coming apart there, but you know what?
Boom,
I
baby.
I've not seen any clutches broken. Well, never. I haven't seen. I've only seen one clutch broke. I mean, when I say broken, I mean they're like it's like coming apart. So,
Just
but
like
it's like
a,
anything, man. I think you know there's no tellings. Different types of plastic, different cook procedures. There's so many things that go into that. I
I
think
told,
everybody deals with it once or twice.
I talked about this the other day when we were paddling together. I'm like, it's plastic and it's going over rocks. What really do
Yeah,
you expect?
yeah. It's just how it goes. It comes with the territory. Yeah, so actually onto Jackson. So one of the boats that probably surprised us both. I'd heard rambles about they were working on kind of like a Steez type boat last year. Now when I say last year, I mean like 2023, 2024, and they did. I mean that clutch came out of nowhere. I don't think any one of us like seen it until, and that's one thing that Jackson does, man. You notice how
It is
because
under
didn't they do it?
wraps.
Didn't they do a meme of like having Dane had NDAs at put ins? Yeah, if you're going to paddle with them, you have to sign an NDA. Like they're making nuclear subs or something. It's hilarious. Yeah, and I got my hands on a demo, and I think you did too. And I was pleasantly surprised by that boat. That boat, they nailed it on that. I think the Clutch was one of the better boats that I paddled in 2024. It's up there.
Yeah, when I got Steven gave me his small, and yeah, it was really good.
Well, there's
Uh,
only one size.
oh no, he had an outfit. Excuse me.
Yeah.
You're right.
You said small.
I
That's
remember
one
it.
thing. So a lot of people that are listening to this remind you, like the EXO, even like that one comes in two sizes. I think it's a small and large. I think it's only like there's no medium. But then you got like every other boat on here. Well, I think the Beast doesn't. Powerslide does it, but it's like the ReactR comes in three sizes, which is kind of rare now. The ReactR's in three, and the Indra's in two sizes.
Yeah, excuse me on that. I'm just thinking because he was saying he had it outfitted for a smaller person. That's why my mind went to that. But yes, one size. And when I got in it, I was like pleasantly surprised that it did not feel overly big. Even weighing like 150, I could still throw it around. In eddy lines, I couldn't flat water, but not a big deal really. But yeah, in eddy lines, I could still get a vertical.
But isn't it
Um,
crazy? Like that, you got a good point there. Like there's probably 40 pounds of difference between me and you, and we both can paddle that boat and be comfortable and happy in it, which is
I think they brought the rocker down just a tad, and it makes it feel less big on the water, so to speak, at least to me. I will say when I was very fatigued, if I did a lot of stern squirts and tried to roll it, I'd have not difficulty rolling it, but I'd have to like purposely set up a roll. You know, if I'm
Yeah,
not fatigued. If
yeah,
I'm not fatigued, no big deal. But like if I was
and it
really
does. That
fatigued,
boat wears you out, man. It's like you got a good point. I was on the Golly. I think you paddled on the Golly too.
I
It
did.
that thing kicked my ass as far as like fatigue, but it felt good. You know, you come away feeling like you actually paddled really hard, which is, I mean, I'm not going to complain about that. I thought it. I mean, that feels great that it does that. It's like that's awesome that there's a boat that you can push like that. But a lot of people think that they're getting this boat and they're going to be stern squirting all over the river because they see Dane and Steven and those guys. It's doable. What did you think as far as like stern squirting it and all of that?
For me, it was doable in an eddy line, like old school, but I could not like necessarily whip it into a eddy at my weight and just like get it up super
Yeah.
vertical. But it's possible, and if I had more time in it and more conditioning in it, I probably could. But like you said, it wears you out. Like it's just a big boat to try to throw around. I mean, yeah, like
But man,
that is
it
not going to happen. Just what you saw.
yeah, and like downriver though, I mean that thing is a beast downriver.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. Very nimble, and it's a true like when you say like I want a half slice to paddle big water. That's what we're talking about right here. Like this is, you
Yeah,
know,
and you know what's crazy is I think what they done by bringing that rocker up in the back, that rocker's high, and it keeps it from stern like blasting out of things. Like what happens, you know what I mean by like stern blasting, like when you hit and you don't go up and over and go vert and kind of go back, it like levels out and it takes off. They had that beautiful amount of rocker in that boat, and the volume distribution seemed to be really good from bow to stern on that. I was impressed with it. Hard edge on it. Comes in a little bit under 9 feet. It's 27 inches wide, 27.25 inches wide, which is pretty wide by, you know, a lot of standards. 85 gallons on that boat. 46 pounds. It was a light boat to carry. Would you agree?
yeah, it wasn't bad at all.
And when they say paddler weight range from 130 to 220, that's one of the probably the only kayak companies that I actually kind of agree with on the paddler weight range.
Yeah, I've known people, gosh, 240, 50 paddling.
And it's just
Yeah.
because of the design.
Yeah, the wide width of the boat and the wide stern really kind of, it's like when you're walking in snowshoes,
Yeah.
balances the weight out on the water.
Was there anything that kind of like you didn't like about it?
I see. Surf really well. I'm trying to think of the different things. Yeah, like I said, for me personally, I have really small hips, so it was harder to roll when I needed it to, like in a dire situation, and that made me feel a little uncomfortable.
I wonder if it's because of that wide. Let's look at it again. I wonder if the reason that is what you're talking about is because of that wide area right here. Can you see what I'm looking at? And
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
looking at is right by the knees. So you notice how Jackson went wide. See where your hip starts, and then look how it kind of bubbles out to where the knee is. I bet you that's what's causing that roll issue.
Yeah, and I don't want people to listen to this and be like it's hard to roll. What I'm talking about is if I've been paddling for 8 hours and then I get caught in a stout hole, it's gonna be like, oh man, this sucks. Not, you know what I'm saying? Not like just like, oh, I'll go
But
out
it
on
was
a lake and
super
row.
stable.
Yeah.
Both of us did reviews on it, and I think we both gave it pretty glowing reviews. From, I mean, watching your review, and I know my review because I was there. But it's like it was, and man, I'm telling you, Jackson nailed it on that. So good job on Jackson. That was probably the sleeper of the year. Wouldn't you agree? Well, when I seen some teasings of it, I was like, what is that? Because they just released that flow, which they nailed it on that flow. I thought the flow is definitely one of the better sport creekers out there on the market. And now this, would you not think that you'd put this more in the puffy steez category, not really the steez category?
Yeah, this is more, yeah, I would say so. Steve's has more of a cut in the tail,
The
kind of
the
more
real
of a
the actual steez is flat. Would you
more of a half size.
where would you put this in line with the Ninja? There you
Different
go.
boat, still different boats though. Gosh.
Since I know
I,
you're one of these damn Zet Ninja lovers. Zet kind of they didn't have anything in 2024.
yeah, they there's the
Oh, the Ninja too. Never mind.
Ninja's more sleeker, more for the smaller paddler, in my opinion. I
I've
don't
talked to
think
several people that really like that Ninja too over the Ninja.
I have too. Yeah, but I haven't seen the Ninja too.
I don't even think there's one in the U.S., is there?
I would top the regular Ninja out of like 180 personally. So I think that's
I agree.
the and
Surprise. Go ahead.
it's not as like stable and forgiving. It's got really hard edges on the back, especially when you're like going down some slides and stuff. That's where it really fell apart for me. I liked it on big water, liked it on normal creeking, but like any type of like slide, really rocky, man, that back edge would catch. And the Ninja was also hard to roll because of those big wings in the back.
Yeah, it comes out like I think they call that like a Swede design. I can't remember. Somebody's probably going to be like, "You don't know what he's talking about." But where the boat comes out and does this and comes
Yeah.
back, there a lot of slalom boats have that type of design, like wave hoppers or something like that. I thought the Ninja's good. I mean, the Ninja doesn't have anything, but I would take Clutch all day long over the Ninja.
Yeah, because it's like I said, I think you can take a clutch pretty much anywhere. There's some spots where I wouldn't want to take a Ninja, so
Yeah, I
it's kind
do
of
a
where
clutch. I'd seriously do a clutch. Like, man, I'd do class one. I'd do a lake to class 5+ in a clutch.
that could literally be your only boat,
It,
and you would still have fun in it.
a lot of companies have said that. I remember at Dagger, we were talking about the rewind as the quiver killer. Not really, not really. I was like, pump the brakes there, buddy. Pump the brakes on the quiver killer on a half slice. You get on some big pushy water, you'll find out quiver killer real quick what a half slice will do to you. But that clutch would just bust through everything. I mean, look at I think those guys took them down to King, and I mean, obviously those are world class paddlers, but I think that boat can handle big water fairly easy.
No, I don't disagree with that. Yeah, clutch is a you could have one and not have anything else.
That is true. That is true.
So,
Speaking of one and no one else, let's talk about the one that only did one, and that's the Liquid Logic Powerslide. This is another one that just slid in from left. It just power slid in from left field, man. I did not see this boat coming. A 10-foot true modern half slice. Something that's been kind of kicked around by several manufacturers. I mean, a lot of it's nothing new. I mean, everybody's talked about it, but it's whoever does it first. And this was coming out of the Liquid Logic factory. I'm guessing Shane did 100% of it, maybe 99% of it. But to me, I'm going to throw it up here for anybody that hasn't seen it. There it is in all its glory, the Liquid Logic Powerslide. And this boat also has that one size fits all, and they've got it from 120 to 240. Now, you've paddled this boat.
I would do, and I wish I owned one, but I don't have enough money right now. But yes,
Hey,
it.
you like you
I think it does. I think that applies to this one too. I think you could paddle it. I mean,
Yeah, and look at this, because remember what we said about the clutch was 27. This is 25 inches wide on a 10-foot water line. So 10 foot long, 25 inches wide, and 75 gallons, and it's 48 pounds. It is a light boat. It is light. Cockpit, that's normal. But it's like 10 foot and 25 inches. Man, I've talked about like, half slices and long half slices. This is one boat that I seriously could have for the rest of my life and never buy. To me, it's kind of what the RPM did to the market. And this is just my opinion. A lot of people might disagree with me, but they'll talk about old school half slice. Old school's half slice suck and they're trash compared to this thing. It's like I love the modern bow rocker on this, and that edge was perfect. And the stern rocker is what really threw this off. The way that stern rocker came down, the volume carried out right a little bit behind the hips and cut back tight, and it has a nice stern rocker. I really like this thing a lot, man.
yeah, it's totally a lot safer too. I mean, those RPMs and stuff, they're like
Oh,
the bows are so unsafe. So
there's like here's the rocker on an RPM where like here's the rocker on a power slide. That's terrible. Or even like an outburst or a sleek or something like that. One of the older school. Which I mean, I guess they're good as far as that nostalgia feel. But when it comes down to outfitting, having a modern feel downriver. These boats, the Powerslide is just awesome. Now you also mix them, and another thing, they finally upgraded their thigh braces with the Gorilla Grip thigh braces, and you put a pair of Gorilla Grips in there. That boat's money, man.
I loved it when I paddled on the Whitewater Center. Haven't paddled anywhere else, but yeah, like getting a 10-foot boat vertical is like so cool. And it's
Yeah,
sleek. It's sleek and slender, kind of like a slalomy feel to it. So
fast.
it's a really fun boat. I would, if I had the money, I would buy one. But yeah,
But once again, this is not a boat that can do it all. I would not want to have this on a mank run, a tight creek. Like, not saying you couldn't do it. I mean, it's like anything. People take full slices down crap. But it's like, what do I prefer? If I'm doing something super stout, man, I'm not in this power slide. That boat
uh,
will go vertical on you. And what happens is when it gets in a big bully eddy line, that tail seems to
it
load.
starts loading,
You
loading,
can't
and
get the tail to disengage. So you're locked in, man, and you're trying to, and you'll be fighting it, and you've got to make a last second move. That boat could get you in trouble.
yeah, it's
Um,
not really for big water. It's just a fun boat. I mean, that's all it is.
yeah,
You
if
know?
you could think of something that's just fun to own, I recommend people go out and buy a power slide. Yeah, they nailed it. I mean, Liquid Logic apps. Once again, this is along with like the Clutch, man. This is one of the sleepers out there that came out, and I thought it was one of the better boats in 2024. Just a really good job, Liquid Logic, on that. I would like to see them update that outfitting a little bit. The back band's kind of low. I did kind of a hack on lifting the back band up, and that seemed to help a little bit, but it could use some improvement. It works though. It works.
For their price, I have to say, Liquid Logic have still kept the price down in
What
comparison.
is their
So
price? There you go.
I don't know what was it, 12.50 or something,
I think
12.99,
it's
11. Oh, this looks like it's gone up $100
one
maybe.
13.99. Out of all of our boats that we're talking about, it is the cheapest. It
I
is
feel like it's
the.
gone. I feel like it's gone up $100.
It probably has gone up, and it's only offered in three colors. It looks like it's that Venom, Shark Blue, and Gold.
But either way, it's still like $400 less than what it
And by the
was.
way, it's just got a sticker. Hey, man, it's just got a sticker on the back. You
It
might.
works.
It works. Mine hasn't blown off. Yeah, so you got to paddle, and another one. You could talk. What's your kind of like long term thoughts of the Hot Whip 60?
60 was really good. I put out a review on it, raving review, really. It's one of those boats where it's like almost a full slice to some extent. Like
Yeah.
I could just about cartwheel it. Like somebody a little better than me, you could probably do it. I could get like a half in kind of on it, but pretty much we'll go through just about anything that's 72 will. Obviously a little spicier, but I don't know. It's super maneuverable, super easy to throw around. Very fun boat. You can take it on Mank. It's light. It's not, it's easy to deal with. I wouldn't say 200 pounds would be. Uh,
Yeah, I'm right at about 185, 190 right now. I'm in my winter weight, so I'm probably about 195. But I felt I could paddle it, but it wouldn't be my everyday boat. I mean, I would definitely be in the 72. I think 200 pounds is pushing it. It is a very light boat, 39 pounds. That is the lightest boat out here. So you guys hear that? Anybody that wants a light boat that they can carry around, this boat's less than 40 pounds.
yeah, like I mean, you can loop it, you can cartwheel it, you can 360 spinning, you can do whatever with it. I mean, and it runs the river really good, just like the 72. So, like for a smaller, like we don't have a lot of boats for smaller paddlers geared. That is the best boat for a smaller paddler right now.
What did
Girls,
you,
smaller.
while we're on that, because its only real competition is the Antics 2 and Firecracker. I would put it closer to the Firecracker 242, honestly, than the 232. What did you ever get into 242?
Not the 4.2. No, I was in
I'd,
the
I'd love to hear your
2.32.
opinion of the 242 versus the Hot Whip. Um, I was definitely too big in the 242. I think I've talked about this before. I don't know if I have, but you know what? I am now. But it's like the 242 Firecracker was too big. I mean, too small on me. And the 252 is a little big, but I love the way that boat feels compared to the Hot Whip 72. It's like slightly bigger than the Hot Whip 72. And I felt the 242s very similar to the Hot Whip 60.
See, I think what's going to come down to that is really your weight preference because like the high whip 60 is kind of above the 42. I mean, above the 32 and the below the 42. So that's the kind of boat that fits me perfectly.
Yeah,
Where it's like, you know, it just comes down to fit, honestly. Because the firecracker's good too. I owned the 232 and I loved it as well. So,
I remember.
but I feel like it didn't run the river quite, creeks quite as well as the 60. I feel like I would take the 60. Like if the green still existed, there's no way I would take a 232 down the green.
Oh, that thing's tiny.
But I,
it looks small on you, man.
but I took the 60 down the green, no problem. So
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, I seen that video. Yeah, yeah. Well, I was with you that day. That's right. We were
yeah,
paddling together that day, and it looked good. Hey, dude, you look fine in that boat. And you're what, about 140, 145?
150 now in my winter.
Then you probably hit that boat right in the right spot. You know what? I did see on Piranha's website. I don't know if anybody's seen that now the firecrackers have an option for elite outfitting. Did you know
Ooh,
that? Yeah.
that's a
So
good.
the firecrackers, according to Piranha's website, actually, you know what? Let's just verify this before I run my mouth. I know I'm getting myself in trouble, but let's see. We got the firecracker here, and when you go custom overview, where am I? Look, I did not have that ready.
I thought there was a rumbling the Ripper 2 might be in that as well.
That's what I'd heard, and I don't see. There it is, custom. So we're gonna pull up the custom Ripper 2. Yeah, man, check it out. I'm on it right now. You see that?
Oh,
There it is.
game changer on the Ripper.
That is the Ripper 2, everybody. Small, medium, and large Ripper 2. Man, and I love everybody take note how cool this website is. Look at this, man. Is this not the coolest thing ever? Have you ever used this program?
I've messed around with it before, yeah.
That is so cool, ain't it?
Just
So
get it all
there's
sorts of cool
that.
together.
And so there's the Electron. We got to get you in a Electron because I know you're one of these dorks that like to be in potatoes.
My potato days are over.
Now you're like me. You just look like a potato.
That's right.
So I've got the firecracker. Here it is, everybody. Firecracker 232, 242, 252. You can do custom graphics. You can do frog color green. And then look at that outfit.
I like that olive frog color. That looks
You
cool.
like that?
Well, that's like the cancer thing, so I definitely
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah, it's like the Kermit. Look at that. That outfitting looks really good in there. Man, I wonder how that changes. I wonder what that does as far as changing the overall paddle because I'd found this outfitting lets you set deeper in the boat. To me, I thought it felt like I was deeper down inside the boat when you paddled the ReactR. While we're on Piranha here, let's talk about. I'm just going to go ahead and say one of my favorite boats of all time, the Pyranha ReactR. And that boat comes in 3 sizes, small, medium, large. You currently have the small, I think, right?
Yes, which is still unattainable in the US from what I know of.
It is absolute, man. You talking about, like, I didn't think Piranha could upgrade the Scorch as much as they did. And I don't know, it was a combination of the outfitting and this overall design. Can you see on the screen there?
Yeah.
What I'm showing is how they widened the volume coming out where the hip starts, and they widened that volume out the entire way there. And they went deeper with the grooves, the lifting grooves on the bow, the wave deflectors or grooves. I mean, they're called a lot of different things. And then the way they did that rocker, they brought the rocker up and flattened this tail down. So it's technically not a half slice. And look at this. They actually show the complete hole. So it's not like a full-on half slice. Let's get rid of that. Let's zoom in a little bit. And that edge runs from tip to tip. Very nice, smooth edge. What I'm telling you, I think the way they did the reactor to me was one of the best boats like I've ever paddled at this point. And the smalls comes in at 810, it's 811 and 9 foot, so very small increments, 1 inch increments, and then it's 27 inches on the small. You know how wide that's a wide small, ain't it?
Very wide, but it didn't paddle as wide as people think.
Yeah, and I say that. I say that all the time. I was like, dude, even though this is 27.5 inches wide, it does not paddle like a 27-inch boat, like almost 28 inches, because of the way those edges are lifted so high up. It's 86 gallons, so it's 81, 86, and 92 gallons, and they're 48, 51, and 53 pounds as far as weight. And man, I can't go on enough about this boat. It's just so good. What do I? Better mute that. There you go. Can you see that?
Yep.
What do you think of this outfitting, the elite outfitting? Good old Andy. Good old Andy. Andy Butler.
It works. The string, actually, I'm a fan of strings because it incrementally gets you tighter than ratchets could ever do. Ratchets will end up breaking if you try to get them too tight. So, despite what everybody says about the ratchets, the strings are better, in my opinion. I like the little piranha grip thing here where your shoulder kind of lands on.
Oh, the little pad.
Yeah, that helps. And obviously they should have had these piranha hookers in there from every boat from the
Yeah.
past 5 years.
I was like, if they don't figure out something with their thigh braces, they better start shipping them with piranha thigh hookers.
I like the seat and back. The back band is 10,000 times better. I don't know how many times I've bitched about that to Chris Hipgrave.
Would you say that's one of the best back bands you've ever used?
It's good. I mean, God, that last thing they had in there was a piece of cardboard. Sorry, Piranha, but it was horrible.
I've got
So
I've got a video coming on 1 year later on this outfitting on how well it's held up, because that's what a lot of people ask
and
me.
then the seat adjustment, like
Yeah,
on the fly, like Jackson has.
right. One bolt in the middle, baby.
My only complaint is the hip shims and stuff could be a little bit better made, but
If I have one complaint, it's the way they did the hip shims are a little low and flat. I think I got some concepts that I would like to see done with these hip shims, but they work. They do work. I just think they could be better. The back band has a pulley system in it, and it works extremely well. I agree with Matt there, where you can do incremental, like small adjustments. And then the biggest thing is if that thing breaks on the river, just like with a Jackson boat, you just have a string, and we got a whole new back band. You break a ratchet on the river, you're kind of like, you better have a whole new ratchet in your pocket, buddy. I don't know how many ratchets you carry in your pockets, but
the ratchets can also fall off and get tangled. I'm
yep.
saying they get annoying. But the bow on that boat is really nicely done. Like actually, in the bottoms video that I just put out, you can see a lot of times where I can put it almost all the way on the edge and
And
take
then
a stroke, and then it's like the secondary stability takes and just whoop, back on,
what
back
I'd
online.
found the reactor does better than the Scorch is its ability to come down. And then if I need to be over here fast, I just whip it over there fast. I can whip it over there really fast, but it doesn't stay kind of wonky. The Scorch seemed to lock in a few times, and I could still do it with the Scorch, just not as good. It's almost like they improved the Scorch. Well, the Scorch was perfect in my opinion, but it's like now you made perfect even better, if that makes sense.
Well, and it's a little bit different. And some people have told me about like, should I keep the Scorch or reactor? And then really, like I said, with the weight stuff, the small reactor is more of a medium small. So again, it's like
And
they almost made three different boats in the sense that you might fit better if you didn't fit good. If you're too big for the small Scorch, but way too big, way too small for the medium Scorch, you'd fit perfect in a small reactor.
yeah, and now that
That
you're
like
on that,
me,
they
yeah.
still have the Scorch in their lineup. Just so everybody knows, they did not discontinue the Scorch.
But
And
like look at the tech specs on the small. I bet it's like significantly smaller than
it
the.
is. Look at that.
I mean, like with 24.5 compared to 27 inches.
25 inches compared to 27.5. I've never really compared these
And then
specs.
the volume is
Well, the
81.
length too, man. The length on this is 8.6 where it was 8.10
Yeah,
on
the
the reactor.
volume 81 on the small reactor, so it's a significantly bigger boat.
It is well, and I told people that when people's ask me, I fall, man. I can tell you where I fall. I actually fall in between the medium and large scorch. I'm like right in that medium. They have it up to 200 pounds on the medium. And I think that's pretty accurate. I felt like the medium scorch at times felt small when it got burly. And I feel the medium reactor feels amazing on everything. I've had that thing, man. I've paddled that medium scorch down super stout big water and then low volume mank, and it just handles everything perfectly. The medium reactor, where I felt, man, when I got on bigger burly stuff and that scorch, whew, I thought the deck was a little low on it, like right here beside me. I felt it was like a little too low down. And I agree with you. The small scorch is just really, really small.
Yeah, you gotta be like I would get swallowed up even on class 4 plus with that. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's great that Piranha left that in the lineup. So if you thought the small reactor's too big on you, get a small scorch. And honestly, if you're around like 150 and you're okay in the medium scorch, would you even need to update to a reactor? In my opinion, I don't know.
Not unless you're really, it's kind of like one of those things if you like play with, if you're really good at golf and you can incrementally be better with better clubs, it's kind of like for the
And you
5%.
got the money.
Yeah.
I think what are these selling for now? I don't even
Yeah.
know.
If you got $1,900, whatever they cost now.
I think they're like 1,900 bucks. It seems like all the boats that we're talking about here. Let me look back. I don't think they have the price on here. I'd have to go to a
Don't
dealer's
get me
website.
started on that rabbit hole. If you even need a creek boat, let's even
You need at least between 1,500 and 2 grand, in my
like
opinion.
to
I mean,
even
it's just facts. It's just
yeah.
facts that it's 1,500 to 2 grand. It seems like they're all coming in around about 1,700 is a good base price for all of them. 16.99. Whether you and that's that's not just Piranha. That's Dagger, Jackson. I'm looking at Jackson. It's 16.49. I'm looking at Dagger. It's 16.49. And you know what? Anything else you want to add on the score? I mean, the reactor there.
It's 10 out of 10. I
Yeah,
don't know. It's
and you
it's
know
good.
what? I've always,
I haven't reviewed it yet actually, but
but you've been paddling it. You've
I
been
have a
paddling a
ton
lot.
of videos on it, but yeah.
And they went back and they did a lot of things. I'm not going to say I influenced them, but I complained a lot on their outfitting. I had a whole hack video on their outfitting. I hated the drain plug that was riveted or screwed in. I hated that. Oh, it just drives me crazy. They have a mold-in drain plug now. They have bomber out a back band that is beautiful. I agree with you. That back band is wide and it just like cuffs around nicely. It's adjustable up and down. Those shoestrings work very well. They feel. I think it's not shoestrings; they're more like a paracord, and it's pretty solid. And I don't have any complaints as of today on that elite outfitting. I can't find out anything wrong with it, in my opinion. There was some
My,
issues with the back band that I reached out to Piranha, and they got on it pretty quick and fixed that issue like that.
my only thing on the small when I carry it, it's like the pillar's not out far enough, so I have to like kind of bring my arm in, which is uncomfortable rather than like
Yeah,
having
you
it
got them little
extended.
T Rex arms. That's your
Yeah, so
problem.
you got to go like this.
Yeah, it is where you think of like Jackson has that strap in there, and then Dagger has their wall cuts in deeper. Their Piranha's wall is like straight up vertical, and it is kind of hard to get. A lot of times, I think I was showing you, I grab the bulkhead bar and just
I
hold
do
that
too,
bar.
but sometimes your fingers can get jammed up in there, and then like if you fall, it's like
Imagine finishing your day. You're like, yeah, man, I had to hike out. It's like, what happened? He tripped and fell and broke all four fingers behind the bulkhead bar.
I could literally see that happen on bottom when because you're like you're climbing up the hill like this, and then all of a sudden you
Or
slip.
even worse, falling in the river and your hand stuck in there, then swimming with the boat and you're trying to get your hand. Oh, just the thoughts of being stuck with one arm inside of a floating kayak full of water. Yeah, man. I can't think of anything on the reactor that I didn't like. It
As
was
far
one
as
of those
paddling, no, it's very very good.
edges. Edges are there when you need them. It's very stable, quick, and nimble. It's like I've always said this. There's a difference between being quick and being fast. Quickness is like that ability to kind of like not that straight on like power slide speed. Power slide will smoke a reactor, but on a river making quick moves, I'd take a reactor over a power slide any day because I want to be able to be quick, get into eddies. And I mean, it's just beautiful at doing things like that. Last second eddies and then peeling out and doing a drop, I think is really good for that.
Yeah, initial acceleration. Good.
Well, there you go. Well, I did mention a little bit on the Indra. What is so just so everybody knows, the Indra comes in a small medium and a medium large. I just pulled up the small medium and Matt will tell you his thoughts on there. I think you got a review on this thing too out there floating around.
Somewhere.
Yeah, and it comes in 10 foot. No, that's 107 inches. So what is that? What is
Uh,
107 inches?
I have to compute that. I don't know off the top
How
of my
about
head.
this? They've got height on here, 14 inches. And you know what they're calling the height? It's right here where the front of the rim meets the hull, 14 inches high. That's interesting that they give that spec.
8 8 foot 9
Is that what it is?
length.
That's now we're talking about the small medium, and it's 26 inches, so almost 27 inches, 26.5 inches wide, 51 gallons, but I bet it's closer to 55. That boat is not light. Max capacity, they don't have a low end, they just got one high end, and it says 190 on it. Sit inside.
Passengers? When did they add that? Passenger
Passengers single.
single. It's probably a
Yeah, and
law.
and you know what? And what Dagger did on these boats, they released that new thigh brace. What are they
Yeah,
calling
so
that thigh brace? I can't
what
remember.
is the engaged thigh
Oh,
brace?
the engage thigh hook. And it's really good. I like this thigh hook. It's good, but it's heavy. It's got tons of adjustment. Tons of adjustment. Probably the most would you say it's the most adjustable thigh brace ever?
I like it a lot. Yeah, it's nice. I mean, I think it's nice in the Piranha and the Liquid Logic probably, and it's like actually padded down and
Yeah.
locked in a little bit better, maybe so.
Yeah, and going over the Indra, we'll talk about it for a little bit here. The bow is very rockered. Look at that rocker. I think I measured this, and it's one of the highest rockered bows out there. It's high. It's like 17 and a half inches or something like that. The bow rocker on these things. And it's got like a low stern rocker. So the bow rocker's high, and then it brings the stern rocker low. And then it's got a negative kind of turn down on it. I don't know how well you can see it right there. You see that little negative turn down?
Yeah, about a half an inch maybe.
Yeah, it drops down right there. So it's that, I went on and about my review. I actually had Snowy talk about the reasons behind that. And you know what? If anybody wants to know that, go back and watch that. But it's like, I still like the Indra. I think on big water, now I'm in the medium large. So we talked about this, me and you talked about this, whether it correlates between the small medium and the medium large, whether that being small in that design might not be as good as being large in that design. Does that make sense?
I think my issue in it was the tail was a little too thin. I think when you come off drops or you catch you're going for a turn in like super boily water or something, it tends to catch and like want to spin you out if you're not paddling super aggressively.
Yeah.
So it caught me off guard a few times. But it still has very good, buoyancy of stability in the water, really deflective of big waves and good water in big water, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's a beast for going over things. I
It
felt
was
like
punchy, very punchy through holes.
and if you timed it just right, I actually moved my seat back in that boat for a while, and I think I went all the way forward for a little bit, and now I'm back in the middle. I did move mine kind of around and tried to find that sweet spot. I'd found that if you really like are good at engaging that tail on a certain time, dude, you can load that tail and just boof off of things. There was a few times, even on just like normal waves, say like a Koi or something. I'm not talking about big, huge, stout drops. I think just the average paddler can tailo that boat and lift the bow up and boof over things. And it just gives you that bigger acceleration. Like it gives you like a big acceleration in the air coming off of stuff. And it's very wide up there. That thing is, to me, it paddles like a wide boat too. What is actually? Let me look that up because I want to know what the large is. I got the small up.
Yeah, the small felt doable to me. Like it didn't overwhelm me as far as having to paddle it or roll it or anything like that.
Boat.
I have a lot of videos out on Colorado. That's where I took the Indra.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it worked for you. You didn't swim.
I didn't swim.
Yeah. So the large Indra man comes in at 27.5, and so that's exact same width as the ReactR medium,
Yes.
but it does not feel like it. That thing feels like 29 inches wide. Maybe somebody could correct me if I'm wrong on there. It's 15 inches of height. Max capacity is 250 pounds. I feel that I'm right on the bottom end of it. I feel like it's not huge on me, but it's not small. I feel like it's like a big medium, in my opinion. That's how I feel with this boat, the design wise.
Did you ever jump in mine? I can't remember.
I did. I paddled them both. Yeah,
Okay.
and I felt that I would definitely paddle the small medium on if it was my everyday kind of river runner. But if I want to paddle stout, if I just wanted one and be on something stout, I would want to be in that large, just because I like a bigger boat anyway. I feel like anybody from probably, the large Indra, I'm going to say the weight starts probably about 180 to 190. If you're under 190, 185, man, you're on the bottom end of that boat. And I think that's why we've seen a lot of the team guys not paddling the boat. Or I noticed that when I see the Team Dagger guys, I'd see most of them in codes or phantoms.
Codes, yeah.
Because I think a lot of them fall in that in between. Even if they're like 150, a lot of them like paddling a bigger boat, but they don't. But the large Indra is so big that I think there's like a size to be had right in between a medium and small.
They could have probably made three sizes of that boat in reality, but I get it.
Yeah, man.
Didn't
It's
always
like
work out.
I mean, there's always a lot of factors that go into that on sales and what people want to do, but and trying to do two sizes is always I mean, look at Jackson. They did one. Yeah, I like the edges on that boat. I thought it was edgy, but it wasn't super edgy. I thought it was carvy in and out of things, and fast downstream. Fast. That's right. It's faster than the ReactR. Definitely faster.
Definitely faster, yeah.
And I think I would say it's faster than the Clutch also. I'd really have to
Yeah,
put those head to head, but if it's not faster, it's right up there with it.
I think I want to say the engine narrows down more than the clutch. The clutch kind of stays wide in the bow, you know. The
Yeah.
engine wants to go up, so in theory that would make it faster.
Yeah, so the Indra was not my favorite boat of 2024, but it's not a bad boat, man. Once again, if think about that, if that boat came out in any other time, it would be the best boat on the market. If you would have brought it out at a different time, like everybody'd be like, "Wow, that boat's just awesome." It's
Yeah,
just like,
definitely had a lot of competition coming out. You had the flow out still. You had the high whip out. Yeah,
well,
not
the
that they're
ReactR dropped
comparable in
almost
the
same
ReactR.
time. Yeah, they all dropped kind of around that same time. So that was a tough, a loaded market there. But I like what Dagger did with it. I like how the design, and I think it was the right direction over the code. You had to stand away from the code, and the Phantom's actually still in the lineup, which is crazy. That's only a one size boat too, because people's always like, "Oh, Daggers, they're short chain." I was like, they did the Phantom in one size, and nobody complained. Once again, that Phantom nailed it on the weight range too. I think it's a great boat for all weight ranges.
Yeah, I got a chance to paddle it finally on the Russell Fork.
It's
First
good,
time
ain't it?
ever. It's not bad. Not bad. Especially for the when it was designed. Good gosh.
Yeah, and did you ever get in the Beast, the Prijon Beast?
Only at the takeout.
How about that? Look at this thing, man. Um, Me and you kind of went over the outfitting a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah, I didn't hate it. It seemed to work. I can't really zoom in too good on this. Can you see it on the screen?
yeah, I can see it.
Um, Once again, everybody that don't know, Prion is blow molded plastic, means it's pretty much indestructible plastic. But what they did, for whatever reason, they went with this PRX outfitting, which is like a foam seat velcro to the hull, aka Corin Addison's when I seen that. But they've been around in slalom boats. They've been doing that forever anyway. But it's like, and that what was crazy, man, is they have mini sail hip pads too. Do you remember that? Do you remember much about it?
I mean, I just looked over it and I was kind of like, this looks like a child put it together. Sorry, Prion, but
I didn't hate it. It worked. I thought it was comfortable. One thing is, it definitely absorbs impact. You're not worried about hard impacts. Like I felt nothing on the hull, and my bum was a little warm in that seat. So good warm bum in that baby. And you can kind of like adjust it with some Sureform. You can move it around, so it works. But I'd like to see something a little better. Thigh braces, they're very similar to Piranha, what they've done, but without the wing on top. They need it. They definitely need that wing. And it's adjustable thigh braces that go down. It's ratcheted back band. It didn't bother me. I thought it was pretty good. The hull design, I thought the Prijon Beast was one of those, once again, one of those boats that kind of, I put it in that same category as the EXO Zion. It kind of could do it all. It wasn't like and the DRX, I think another one, the Dagger Rossi DRX, which is crazy because they're all kind of like that European market. It's like they have that same feel, you know it. You notice they kind of look the same too.
I mean, yeah, I watched you all day. It seemed like you did all right. Like it's like one of those boats where it's like it's not bad, but
It didn't wow me like the clutch. Like the clutch, I come away, wow. I come away with the reactor, I'm like, wow. The Powerslide, I'm like, wow, that's awesome. I come away with the beast, I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good. I was like, I didn't hate it. I thought it was really good. I thought they did a good job on it. Once again, another solid offering out there, which is rare because I've never been a fan of Prion's boats, man. I know you might love the Prion and you go on about the Delirious and how it's the greatest half slice or full slice ever made, but I was not been a big fan of Prion's designs. I can't even remember what they had. It's just like, they're just kind of like mediocre. And every time I say it, everybody's like, well, if you knew how to paddle one, then you would like them. I love it when people tell, if you knew how to paddle it, then you'd like that boat better. I'm like, okay, whatever. But
I
it's
do want
like
to try that party pike out. I
the
think
party
you,
pike.
yeah, the party
Now,
pike.
that's the thing, man. Did he get some of the party pikes? Just so everybody wondering where you can get pre-on here in the
He
U.S. is
did.
Don at
Don.
Highwater Hobbies. We need to get our hands on a party pike. I'm glad you brought that boat up. I actually forgot about that. Um, he has a party. I think he has several party pikes. Yeah, we got to get in a party pike. I didn't hate the pike either. I thought it was a pretty good. The pike was like a faster chili, if that makes sense. You'd probably disagree because you're a chili lover.
Love a
Um,
chili.
the pike is a chili cooker, but the Piranha Evo's a pike. It's a pike beater too. The Prana Evo will whoop up on some chili and some pike all day long. So yeah, if you want to go into that boatercross market, yeah. So I recommend the Beast, man. If somebody said they just wanted to get one creek boat to do it all, I'd be like, you can't go wrong with the Beast. I know it sounds crazy. It sounds like I'm being safe on everything, but man, I haven't every one of these boats that I've paddled in 2024. If you told me you were getting one, I wouldn't tell you to avoid it.
No, they're all pretty. I don't know, man. They're all pretty. It's as a reviewers, it's very hard to even come up with stuff that's like what's different, what's significantly different, what's like when people ask you about stuff like I don't know, man. You just go paddle the boats for yourself
Yeah,
because
because all we can do is give our opinion, and we paddle a wide variety of boats. So it's kind of like you get more of an opinion of somebody. You know the story. It's like it's the best boat I've ever paddled. It's like what else you paddled? Nothing really. Just it's like, well, what are you comparing it to? Like you got to have some sort of like something to compare it to if you're going to say it's the best boat ever. Um, yeah, man. It's what I try to do is just basically try to do features like that's all we can really do. You got to admit the reactor does things different than the clutch. The clutch does things different than the Indra. The Indra does things different than the Soul Skip or Skipper RR. Let's talk about this thing, by the way.
Your
Let me.
favorite boat?
Yeah.
That's number one boat this year. That's right.
Oh, well, here we go. So I didn't paddle the Skipper. I paddled the Skip RR, which is pretty much the same boat, but the back is flatter. They really, it made no sense to me have the Skipper and Skipper RR. And I'm going over the website here, so I'll go on Soul's website. Can you see it right there? There's
Yeah.
not much on it. It's 9 foot. It's 27 inches wide, 84 gallons, 130 to 250. Boy, that's pushing it. And oh, he's got it. He's got the mat scale going on. Look at this. This is the downstream V scale. So he's got River Play. By the way, this is the designer and the owner of the company giving us this score, by the way. So River Play is a 5 out of 10. Creaking is a 10 out of 10. River running is a 10 out of a 10. Predictability, what an interesting category to have. Predictability is a 9 out of 10. Squirtability is a 4 out of 10. Okay, well that's.
I want to know how you quantitatively measure that as predictability. Do you run a rapid 10 out of 10 times, and if you go on your side once,
I think I think it's just I think it's a little word play on the word stability. If I had to guess,
10 out of 10 is tough to get. That's I don't even know if I've given 10s, maybe 9.5.
Oh boy, yeah. That's
Brian Machno.
yeah, how about that? I didn't. Let me just talk about I don't think. Did you even sit in this boat?
No, I did fit in the Super Cinder R at Pagali Fest, but I never took one down. It
Yeah, I thought it was
small.
I thought it was pretty good. I didn't. Yeah, it fits in a weird category. It's very slippery. There's not much on it on the website. It's very slippery from side to side, very similar to the reactor, the way it pivots around like that. It's very rockered in the bow, but it comes to a sharper point than the reactor. It's not as wide up there. So he brought the nose in very tight and kind of pointed a little bit, where the reactor is kind of wide and flat. So it's better at like hitting and lifting. This is better at hitting farther back and going off like that, and it goes back on that rocker. It had some weird thing going on that back edge right behind you. I thought it was a little wide back there, and it would just grab from it wouldn't like sink down. What it would do, I think water would hit it and just turn you sometimes. So it was a little edgy back there, but once you kind of tune that boat in, I thought it was pretty good. It definitely is not going to fit someone 250. I'm sorry. I felt tight in it at 180. I felt like it was tight on me. I'd love to hear like your brother paddle the Super Skipper. He's a big soul lover. Your brother's got some soul in him. I'd love to hear his opinion on that Skip RR, because man, that cockpit was very low and it was very tight, and those thigh braces, I'd have to cut them out for someone really large. He uses cam buckles. It's not got ratchets or shoestrings in it. They work. I didn't see any issues on it. The seat was that movable seat with the foam that move around on the hull. Wasn't bad. It all worked. Nothing crazy. It had the bulkheads were like independently pull on strings. So you pulled the bulkhead on a string, and you went over here into like a cleat. So in theory, it would give away if you hit. That's debatable whether I want to be given away and shoved down into the bow of the boat on a piton, but.
Yeah, when I sat in that Skipper, I don't think 190 would work. It seemed very small, especially at 8 foot.
Yeah, and it wouldn't and that's the Skipper, because they're exactly the same. The Skipper and the only thing is the back deck is higher on it. I didn't see any issues with it. I thought it's one of the best soul boats ever made. I like the Glide. I've never paddled the Super Cinder. Man, he's got another one. He's got one called the Quiver Killer. How about that? I won't get into all those because I want to paddle that before I start talking about those. But I thought it was pretty good.
No.
Yeah, it was very aggressive on the hull. There was a hard edge on it. Very aggressive on the hull. And I don't know the price on these boats, but let's just say that I'm just guessing that it's probably the most expensive boat that we talked about.
Over 2 grand with shipping, I would say.
Yeah, which I mean, it is what
Speaking
it
of that
is.
hard edge, is it hard to get out of the South Surf? I think I remember seeing somebody swim out of the Kobe.
There was a video going around of a guy swimming out of a hole on the Ocoee, I think, but we'll leave that for another day because I think we've all swam out of a hole here and there. No matter what boat we're in, I guess it has our number. Yeah, that has a hard edge on it, and it's very boxy on the edge, so it would be a little harder to get that thing out. It'd require some
I
fight to
saw
get that.
I saw Wade almost swim out of the Gladiator on the Kobe
When was this? I don't remember
a
this.
long time ago.
Oh, my legs came out of the thigh hooks. No, you know what happened? My legs popped out of the thigh hooks. The only thing that was holding me in was the spray skirt. I was upside down,
You're in this
both
tiny,
legs.
tiny little ledge. I'm like, man, Wade's gonna swim
Dude,
on the
both
class
legs
two.
were out of the thigh hooks into the ring. And if that skirt would have blown, hey, shout out to level 6 skirts right there, because if that skirt would have popped off, I would have had to swim out of it. It would have definitely been I would have just fell right out. Luckily, I didn't fall out. That skirt held me in there. How about that? So, best boat. What is your go-to boat? You want mine first or yours first?
My go-to boat for what kind of conditions? Just everything.
Let's say I'm like Matt. You can only have one kayak for the out of this entire lineup in 2024.
One kayak. Ugh.
I'm just gonna break it and say
All
mine's gonna
right.
be the ReactR medium.
If I can only have one kayak, I like to at least do some sort of stern sport.
I
So I want
do
to
the.
say,
How about this? I'm saying ReactR medium and Liquid Logic Powerslide, and I'll never need another kayak the rest of my life.
okay, I would say ReactR and
Out of just this lineup, by the way.
what we've talked about tonight.
Yes.
Okay. I want to take ReactR and the clutch.
Wow, not the Hot Whip. Interesting.
Well, you that ah,
Ah, because I that's interesting because wouldn't you think the ReactR? I'm not trying to change your mind, but I thought the ReactR and the clutch overlap too
I
much.
mean, I would take the ReactR and the Hot Whip 72, but that's not available because it's not in the lineup tonight technically.
Yeah. Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Like if I had two of, if I had to pick only two kayaks of every kayak out right now, it would be the Hot Whip 72 and the ReactR.
Wow. Okay. There you go. Well, I mean, the Hot Whip came close enough. Well, I mean, the 60 and 72, we might as well say the Hot Whip. We did talk about the Hot Whip, that's for sure, in the past. But, yeah, yeah, because if we're doing that, then I'd say the Firecracker. I'd say the Firecracker 252. Now we're going completely off base. We're going
That's
in
all
a totally
right.
different direction. But man, I thought out of the two boats I paddled, that really kind of like wow me, it's the Piranha ReactR medium and the Liquid Logic Powerslide with the Gorilla Grip thigh braces. Holy crap. I mean, I feel like I could just have fun no matter where we go. Now, obviously, I'm like you. I'd still want to throw a full slice in there or a small like firecracker or hot whip. I'd want to throw that in there or maybe even like a code or something. It's like if you wanted to really round out your quiver. But I feel like I could paddle the ReactR down anything. Anything that my skill level can paddle down, I feel like I could do it in a ReactR.
I agree 100% with that. I just didn't get to paddle the power slide all that much, so that's why it may not be at the highest of my. I only paddle at the Whitewater Center, but
I like
it felt fun. So
I liked longboats. I'm a big fan of longboats, and I think it bridges that gap between an actual playful longboat, in my opinion. I feel that's what it is. It's a playful longboat. Well, you got anything else on the 2024, you know, kayaks here?
2024 kayaks, not really. No.
Not really. 2024 has definitely been an interesting year. That's for sure. We'll just go ahead now on more of a somber note. We lost a YouTuber and pretty good badass paddler, Bryn Orton. How about that?
Terrible.
Terrible, terrible, man. That was brutal. That came out of left field. You know what? Take a drink to him. Do you have a drink there?
I don't have anything left, but
Well, we can cheers to Bryn there, buddy.
no, Brent was awesome. Gosh, even when I was an adult, I used to watch him as a kid in that little. I don't even know if it was a brand name boat. It was like a
Yeah.
red and white boat doing cartwheels. But Brand, we do videos and stuff. Brand had a really knack for videography and also narrating and
Telling
putting
a
a
story,
story
his
together.
cinematography, his angles, the way he edited, like he really, like to me, was by far the best paddling kayak channel ever, in my
Oh,
opinion.
he, I don't know if he'll ever be a generational. That's a
Yeah, it's
generational
like,
talent.
and I mean, in the grand scheme of things, that's kind of minuscule. But I mean, I've met the guy twice. I met him at GoPro games, and I met him on the Tallulah, and he was super friendly to me. Such a good dude. And you hate seeing that, man, of a fellow paddler like that lost to the river. That's brutal.
But
I mean, it's in the sport. I mean, it's going to happen to us all eventually. Maybe not in the sport, but it comes for us all eventually.
better than dying of some horrible disease, I guess. But
Yeah, side of the interstate, leaned over somewhere. Probably
uh,
my luck. Um, yeah, so sucks on that. And on another somber note, we lost some rivers here. No more Green River. There was a hurricane hit the southeast. I don't know if anyone heard about that, but the Green River narrows, it's odd that you lose a river. How many times do you just like a river just doesn't exist anymore? That's very odd, ain't it?
very odd. Or actually, I don't think it's in anybody's mind that you lose a river, like totally lose a river.
When you think about it, because what people that not familiar that might be listening to this is the Green River is dammed up, so it has recreational releases on it. So it has scheduled releases, which is very rare because you talk to some people in different areas. They're like, "Man, you guys haven't made." Yeah, we know what day. I'm like, "Hey, Matt, you want to paddle Saturday?" You're like, "Yep." We don't have to say, "Oh, is it running?" We're like, "No, it's on the schedule. You can come down and paddle Sunday." So we can plan around. We need to. It runs between 1 and 5. We're good. So that doesn't exist. The powerhouse was washed away. All of the rapids, every single major rapid was changed on it. Me and you, neither one have done it yet. Number one, because we got to wait for a rain to do it. I know some low. I mean, it's not like no one's done it. It's like you've seen videos on it. I've seen videos on it, but it's like we got to wait for a rain to get it to come up, and then we just got to kind of schedule a time, hopefully, to get on it again. I'm wanting to go do it.
Definitely a big loss though, like as far as for me, especially the summertime. It's like I live in Virginia where there's nothing
Yeah,
and it's like 5 hour drive to the green, but hey, it's like, oh, the green's running, let's go run it.
yeah.
Now it's like, oh, what are we gonna run now?
And the Green River is one of the reasons I live in this area. I'm only 35 minutes from the put in technically. So it's one of the reasons I live here. And, I paddled it 1,000 times and I got kind of complacent on it and didn't paddle it as much over the past few years. But you know how they always say, you never know what you got till it's gone.
That's right.
Well, now I'm thinking, I'm like you. When we paddled the other day, I was like, man, I kind of I kind of like this paddling every weekend. I was like, we need to get out some more. I used to get off work and just go straight to the green and get some laps in. And no more of that. So that kind of sucks. That was gone. And that's kind of our paddling. I don't want to like make it seem like that's the most important thing. A lot of people lost a lot of property and lives. There's people killed in that. So it's like a lot of destruction. There was not as much where I live. It was mostly a lot of trees crushed everything. There was a few flooding that made some people lose their houses here, but nothing anything like Western North Carolina. Around the Green Narrow, the Rocky Broad. The Rocky Broad, you never even got to do the Rocky Broad.
No, the first time I even seen damage was when we went to Wilson, just kind
Oh,
of
that yeah, and that was kind of
like
small compared to like what happened around the Green, Nolichucky, and Rocky Broad. The Rocky Broad doesn't even exist either, and that was one of my favorite runs too. It's hard. It was kind of hard for me to catch because it always ran at weird times and then rounding people up to go do it. The Upper Rocky Broad and Rocky Broad, you would have definitely liked those two runs. Those were really good. And then the Nolichucky's changed. We've not been back on the Nolichucky in a while. Maybe that's what we could do. That one's easier to catch. We could go do the Nolichucky. Yeah, 2024 was a rough year. It was rough, dude. It ended rough. Yeah, that was all kind of in the fall. Man, that ended rough.
yeah, like no green rays, no nothing, just it was
Yeah.
wild, wild year. And then all that stuff happened when we were like going out to Colorado. Like one person died, the next person died, next person died.
Oh man, that was crazy, wasn't it? It was like, yeah, that was right. Kind of, that was June, July, right around that time right there. Yeah, and I didn't know the guy that got in trouble on the Pine Creek. I knew of him, and I think we talked to him at the takeout once. Seemed like a good dude. He seemed like a good dude, and you know, once again, man, that's rough when you see any type of piler like that. Yeah, man. So on yes, let's bring it back around to something a little bit positive. Yeah, so you mentioned you got some new gear. What new
New
gear you
gear.
got?
Got some Palm new gear. Palm, check it out.
Look at
Palm
that. Oh my god, this is just go. How about right
coming
here? Right
coming
there.
into the coming to the US of A.
Mine's got smoke on it right there blowing.
So I guess it'll be more widely distributed soon.
Yeah,
I don't
actually,
know.
funny you mentioned that. Right there, baby. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, what I'm holding up to the camera right now is the Palm Gradient 3, everybody. Now, I'm showing you guys right here. I will have more of a full-on review of these, but I've been putting these to the test. I took them to Ecuador. I paddled these in the jungle. I did a lot of hiking around the jungle. I've been paddling, I basically all around the southeast, and look how well they're still holding up. There's mine. That everything looks good. You can see right there. Overall, I'll do kind of like a quick description of these shoes. I liked them a lot, man. They have this like Velcro up here, and this color is actually the Bryn Orton color. I think this is his color. I think it's called Pop is the name of this color. But let me share the screen. I pulled it up and I'll show you guys. And if you got anything to add on these, Matt, you've
Oh, I mean I've used them for probably a total of like 5 times now, actually on the river.
and you
And
have the
then
black ones, right?
I have the black ones. There's the things that I point out, and I've my positive feedback is they're super lightweight. They really don't feel like you have shoes on. They're a lot easier to put on than normal thicker shoes like that because the flexible top half
Yep. This
is really
area right.
nice. Yeah, your shoe,
It's neoprene up there.
so
Neoprene with Velcro.
your feet slide right in. You don't really have a lot of issues. They're also very grippy. Obviously, on any sort of really slick moss or icy rocks, nothing's gonna stick to that. But they are, I feel, very grippy compared to the competition out there. And yeah, they fit in your boat well. They're flexible, and I really like them as well. I think they're just easier to put on, and they work well. I think they're going to be a very viable option if people don't like the other competitive shoe brand out there.
Yeah, man, I agree with you. One of the things that stood out to me the most was this endo grip is what they're calling it, the Vibram, or how do they say it? The Vibram, the Vibram endo grip compound. But they did such a good job on this grip, man. I thought it gripped really well on wet rocks. I felt no problems. It didn't slip. They went well in mud, which was kind of crazy. Those lugs, they call them traction lugs on the bottom. I thought they did really well on the traction lugs. Right now, I'm going to test them a little bit more because durability and kind of like what I really am curious about. But so far, man, I think this is by far one of the better shoes. Kayaking, kind of creek. Let's just say they're creek boots. Would you say that? You're not going to fit these down in a playboat. I'm sorry.
No, not a half slice, not a full slice or play boat, but they do fit in half slices. But yes,
Well, yeah,
I would wear it as more of my creek boat like shoe, like when you're going places where you might need to hike, like super stout water or stuff like that. Sure.
Palm did a very good job on these design. Shout out to Cheesy. You know, he did a lot of work on there, and there was another guy. He wasn't the only one. It's like the Palm team, but that I think it's one of the better products out there on the market. And I've also got one of their dry suits. I've got the Atom. I think you have the Atom
I
also,
have
right?
the Atom as well, and then I have their Orbit deck spray skirt.
Yeah. That's right. You got one of their spray skirts. Oh yeah, man. I looked over that. I had that Iridium. Yours is called the Orbit.
Orbit. It's blue.
Let's look at that. Now that you mentioned that, I've not actually seen that. I didn't look over it much. I just kind of like, yeah, I see it. The Palm Orbit.
I think it's their highest end one, I guess you want to say. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's the same one that I got, but I got the Dagger version of that. They just renamed it the Orbit. I see that. It is the same deck. Yeah, armored, reinforced fibers. Let me share it right here.
Very, very fair pricing for what it is, you know.
Yes, I think so too. Um, Level 6 has a new spray skirt. They're getting ready to drop. I'm very excited to check this out. There's something kind of innovative going on that. So we'll wait and see. I think they're calling it the Class 6. They
The
did
Class 6 is going to be pretty cool. Yeah, one of
Yeah,
a kind.
they did a little teaser on it that I mean it's on Instagram and on their page there. Yeah, man. So Palm, I think I like the dry suit. I really do. I like that dry suit. I mean, I've used the Hiko dry suit and the level 6 one, and man, I think they're all good in their own way. You know, level 6 is more of a durable, thicker dry suit. The Hiko and the Palm are very similar to me. The Atom and the yeah, I think it's the Odin, which I think level 6 has the Odin also.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I think they both have the Odin.
Yeah, the Palm is very lightweight, which I like.
Yeah,
But I mean,
I
yeah.
swam around in it. I swam around in it and tested it out, and I didn't see any issues at all with it there.
I
So
think
good
that one's
job on them.
also very priced well too, which is nice. Yeah, I
Dude,
mean,
I think I'll leave links if anybody's wanting this. I'll leave links to a lot of this stuff in the description below if you want to pick those up because they are very affordable. I'm talking like $700 for a brand new dry suit, which is insane in my opinion. I mean, you know what? You know what? I noticed this trend the other day. Isn't that crazy that dry suits have got better and got cheaper? Why kayaks have went the other way. It's like dry suits have got cheaper, but it's not like they've got worse. You know, you think
uh,
where did you compromise some? I'm like, no, they're actually better now than they were like 4 or 5 years ago, and they're like $300-400 cheaper than they
and
were for.
paddles haven't really gotten that much better, and they're 5 times expensive.
Oh yeah, yeah. What's your go-to paddle right now? I know.
Aquabound Ariel.
Yeah, man, I'm still liking it's still a toss up for me. I mean, I wish we could get Arca Works to do a bench shaft. Me and you both like our bench shaft paddles. I like the Arca Works a lot still, so don't get me wrong, but it's straight shaft and my forearms and my tendonitis. What happens is it's you know, I can go on a whole rant about bench shaft and straight shaft. When you're holding a straight shaft, your hand's not in a natural position. Like our hands naturally want to stay like that. A straight shaft, you're like that. And I think over time, over long days of paddling, I start getting cramps in my forearm right here. It starts cramping up, and my fingers start getting really sore. I get a bench shaft, disappears. So it's doing something. People might say, "Oh, it's a placebo effect or whatever." Well, I'm like, it's doing something.
Yeah, I like the Arca work still for like a big water day, racing, that kind of thing. The
Blade Ford design.
Aquabound's more my just everyday beat on it paddle kind of deal.
Yeah, and you know, when it comes to an actual like beautiful blade paddle, you know, I can't beat a Letman or G Power. You know, still if it's racing or big water downriver, Letman, a Letman LC 60 or a G Power Twister Creek, just amazingly beautifully designed and constructed paddles. It's like seriously, I feel like I got a work of art in my hands when I'm carrying one of those things. But when I just want something durable to get the job done, man, the Aquabound aerial. Good job, Aquabound. Me and Matt's been putting those things. I don't care what anybody says about Aquabound. I'm telling you, they have won me over. I have put that thing through. I mean, God, I've drug it on the bottom at the Whitewater Center. I've jammed that thing in rocks. I've pried off of things, and it's still holding up, man.
Yeah, I tripped. I probably tripped 3 or 4 times on Bottom Creek the other day, like with the paddle in my hand, and it bent the blades and everything. No, no problem.
Yeah, and the wear what they've done with that lamb lock, it's like a wear has done. I might do, you know what? I'll do a follow up, like a 1 year follow up on that also, like because I put mine through. I mean, hardcore, and it's held up extremely well. And you're going on a while on yours, and it's like this is no like I didn't use it on all big water. I've used it on pretty much
Colorado.
everywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
I've used that thing everywhere, and it's a beast, man. They did a good job on that. But I like
Werner
it.
Werner's not in my vocabulary anymore.
No, I think they still make solid paddles. You had that covert, wasn't it? Didn't you have? You did
I
a
didn't.
review on.
I never used it. I did like an initial
You did like,
reaction.
yeah. You had that covert, and I paddled the stealth a little bit, and I thought it was good, but man, it felt like it was going to break. And a lot of times when I talk to people, now that if anybody doesn't know, our good buddies at Jackson owns Warner now. So Warner is a Tennessee made paddle.
Well, see,
Made,
I used to use a strike for my everyday paddle, but
yeah.
if I'm comparing that to the Aquabound Aerial, there's no comparison. The Aerial is way better. I hate to say
Yeah, and
that.
I
It just
use
is what it is.
the Warner that I would use the most was heck, what was that blade now?
The
The
surge.
surge. You had the strike and I had the surge. That surge, and I broke two of them. I had two, and guess what? I broke two, and I was like, I couldn't do it anymore, man. I don't know if it was something with the layup, but I'm sure Jackson and those guys will figure that out and fix that because that's a good design paddle. It's a good design paddle, but I agree with you. After using that, the aerial, I have really come to really like that aerial a lot. Um, I tell you, a paddle that we need to get our hands on. We need to get on our buddies over at Palm and see if we can get one of those VE paddles.
The
Hey, Palm,
flight
if you're watching this, send us one of them. I think it's called Vertical Elements, right?
or something
VE.
like that. Yeah, something like that. I think the one I picked out was like the flight.
Yeah, and what it is, it's got an air core in it. I don't know if it's still like it. I don't know. But when it first came out, it was an air core structure in the middle, so it has no foam. It has air core. Maybe they added foam to it now. I haven't seen one. I haven't used. Well, I've paddled with one kind of briefly, but not enough to give an actual review on. Like, have you ever used one on water? Me either.
I've never seen one in person.
Snowy has several.
Okay.
Yeah, I used his just briefly. I liked it, but not an. I'd have to do like a full on kind of like time with that thing. Paddles is something that takes me a little like a few trips and then for me to figure a blade out because they're all kind of different, man. They're very different. Boats, I feel like I can pick a boat up in 5 rapids, but a paddle is kind of weird. You notice that?
Well, it's
Paddles, it's
more.
like yeah. I always say it, man. If you're gonna fork out money, because people go on about prices of paddles, but think of a paddle as your motor. You can put me in any kayak out there. I don't care. But if you give me a crappy paddle, it ain't happening. I proved that. I did a video paddling with a Walmart paddle. That thing blew apart like 2 rapids in. But it's like I need a good paddle because that's your engine. That's what's going to keep you going. It's like no matter how cool your car is, if you got a little tiny engine that doesn't do crap, well, good luck with that. So you can paddle any boat, but me and you need a good paddle.
Definitely paddles. Well, when you get into stuff where you got to make moves and things, you need something that's personal to you and like you rely on totally. And a paddle, little nuances really make a difference sometimes. So
Yeah, and also, yeah, and to me, durability is a big factor. Durability and design kind of go hand in hand with me. Weight is not that much of a factor. If anybody's out there listening, I will sacrifice a little weight if you tell me this thing is almost indestructible. If you told me that you couldn't break, and it's got to be very well designed. If you design it smoothly, I'll sacrifice some weight. If you're telling me, oh, dude, to break this thing, you're gonna have to like go right across it and just to break it. I'd be like, oh, I'm down for that.
absolutely.
Yeah, so I think we've went over about everything that we can go over. If anybody's interested in what Matt's got going on, go to Downstream V YouTube. I'll leave a link in the description to his channel. He just posted on the Bottoms run, and for any of you dorks out there that haven't paddled around Virginia, you want to do some creeking up there. Matt wants to put it on the map. He said he wants at least 50 people to put in and take out and trash everywhere and complaints and swims. He loves that. No, I'm just joking. You guys don't do that. But yeah, if you want to see what kind of like true Virginia creeking, he just posted that video and he's got a lot of good reviews on pretty much everything we talked about on this video, except for maybe a couple.
A lot of Palm stuff coming out soon. Hopefully that level 6 stuff come. And I need to do an actual review on the reactor. I haven't done that yet, but we moved, renovating our house, so
Well, we can watch some videos and I can tell you how much you like it.
yeah.
I can hear your woo woos, woo, every time you come off of something. That's how we judge how well you like it. Woo! That's what we should do. Instead of a predictability meter, we should have a woo meter.
There you go.
Hey, when you do your next one, will you have the woo factor in there?
I'll do it in there.
Like, so when you run a drop, how many woos will we get?
Or maybe that's a river rating.
Yeah, there
That
you
could be a
go.
river rating.
Well, all right, man. Yeah, anything you want to add here?
I don't think so, man. Just yeah, keep up, check out our channels. We'll have some stuff up and hopefully some daggone rivers to run this spring. So we'll
We got
see.
something coming up. Warm weather starting to hit. Right, Matt. Man, it was good chatting with you again, and we got another podcast going. Everybody probably wants to hammer me and ask me how many more of these I'm doing. I'm like, you know what? I do them whenever I get the feeling to do it. These are things you do for almost no return and very little monetization. So you're just doing it just because you want to do it. But man, I'm glad you came on, and I always enjoy talking to
We
you. It seems like we can go back and forth forever.
we gotta get our buddy Pete on here one night and have
Yeah,
like
we need to get
a
about
three a
let's do
three
about
call.
5 of us. He's getting ready to go to the Grand Canyon. So he's going on a very expensive hiking trip and a lot of flat water. So good job for him. So I'm sure he'll be having fun out there. But yeah, man, it was good chatting with you again. And I guess
Peace
we'll
out.
we'll do it again.
All
See you,
right,
man.
man. Later.